is set to 1200 already. Parking vehicle is Palo Alto ground, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa, run up complete.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, pull up to Yankee 1 and contact tower for departure and utilize full call sign on tower frequency. There's a similar sounding call sign 4 Sierra Papa also in the on frequency in the pattern.
We'll use the full call sign, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa. Thank you.
You could have taxied over the other runoff spot, that'd be fine.
Palo Alto Tower, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa, holding short, Yankee 1.
Cessna 494 Sierra Papa, Palo Alto Tower, hold, correction, right close traffic or left close traffic, your discretion for visibility, runway 31, clear takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, we'll take right traffic, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa.
Cessna 784 Sierra Papa, number 1, runway 31, clear for the option, and does it appear that the visibility towards the east is decreasing?
Number 131, clear for the option, 4 Sierra Papa, and on the ground, yeah, but the clouds are pretty low, so once you're at, it's no issue for the traffic pattern or departing, 4 Sierra Papa.
Not Ashley. Oh, what was that there, buddy? You let the nose down too much after that stall warning. Just a tiny bit would have been enough.
And why did we get the stall?
Because you pulled up a little too high, and it was fine. It wasn't a stall. It was just a stall warning. So you can just let the nose down a tiny bit, but you let it down enough that we touch down.
Okay.
Cessna 494 Sierra Papa, number 2, follow Cessna short final, runway 31, clear for the option.
Number 2, clear for the options. We have the Cessna, other Cessna in sight. 494 Sierra Papa. My aiming point is 3-1. I'm 5 for that.
Don't push the airplane down. Hold the nose up. You got the positive pitch, right? Wait. Maybe go around, huh? Hold the nose up a little. Don't fly into the ground. What else we got to do? Doing a go around. What else do you have to do?
So yeah, that's a good question. I guess when we go around, do I worry about the flaps right away?
Well, you apply power, you pitch up, you hold a positive pitch and start bringing the flaps down soon. But the first thing is aircraft control.
Okay.
With 30 flaps, we're not going to get much rate of climb. Now, what speed should we be at right now?
74.
So let go for a second. The airplane's pitching up a little bit. You are holding some down pressure. You do need a little up trim for 74, but not much. And you flew the pattern, you accelerated to 90 knots. We were fast all the way around the pattern. Now, you had the aim point established, but at 80 knots, and that means we're going to float. See the speed going up?
Right.
You're going to float 1,500 feet, which is exactly what we did. See, we're back to 90, right? So nose up a bit. And our power is high, which is why we're either going fast or climbing.
Number 2, follow Cessna, turning left to base, runway 31, clear for the option.
Number 2, clear for the option, Cessna 4940 Papa.
Oh, that'll help.
Should be at 75 here.
Yep. So 10 flaps, 1900 RPM. Well, you're there. It's a little cool today, so a little less power than normal. We're converging on the runway a little. You have our traffic? Right over
I
here.
see that.
We don't have to extend. So what does that mean we can do? Right, we can throttle right back. So trim for speed. When you take your hands off, it stays there. That'll work so much better. A little more back pressure in the turn. The nose came down, you rolled out, it came back up again. So a little back pressure in the turn, and then you can let it go as you go back to wings level. You're pushing the nose down, we're already fast. That's only 20 flaps, I think. This is much better, huh? Hold the airplane off. You can't be seeing the other end of the runway when you're landing. Nose up some more, right? Should be up here. All right, let's make it a full stop.
Time around, was I pushing the no?
Papa, runway 31, taxi back each time via Zulu, remain my frequency advice and terminating.
Taxi back via Zulu, will advise when terminating. Cessna 4940 Papa.
Cessna 7840 Papa, runway 31, clear for the option.
Runway 31, clear for the option, 7840
I don't know if you were pushing. I mean, that all depends on where the trim was set. But we were a little fast coming down,
Yeah.
and then you were holding the nose down. But you want to be holding, bringing the nose up. If you can see forward, we shouldn't be landing, shouldn't be touching down. That's a thing to remind yourself. You can still see forward. You got to keep pulling the nose up. And once the end of the runway starts to go away, get blocked, you got to look over there. We don't want to be able to be landing in this attitude. That's way flat, and it's going to hit hard. Say again?
I think we have 2 planes in a pattern.
Yep, and they're both from advantage.
Papa.
Yep. They'll probably clear us because they're just turning base. Oh, we'll see. Still enough time. I guess I'm gonna let them land first. Still enough time. Yeah, see him going up? Got a little low. You see it?
Yeah.
Got a little low there. They're going low again. And there's power, and they went up a little bit. That time the glide slope just got a little shallower.
Cessna 784 Sierra Papa, taxi back and terminate.
We're terminating 4 Sierra Papa.
Cessna 784 Sierra Papa, roger, all the way in Zulu and contact ground.
On a Zulu, going to ground support 784 Sierra Papa.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, your abbreviated call sign is approved, runway 31, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, Cessna 494 Papa, runway 31. option, runway 31, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa. My ideal rate of
Sorry, what was the question?
my ideal rate of descent.
Idle rate of descent?
Well, yeah, typical rate of descent, like 500 feet.
I basically don't care. It should be 1400 RPM and not 15. We're going to be very high because you started to throttle back almost at the time we should have turned base. We did extend a little bit, but we're pretty high.
Skyhawk 5010 Charlie Paul, Tower, make straight in for runway 31.
Straight in, runway 31, 10 Charlie.
A 4-degree glide slope at 65 knots will be about 420, 450 feet a minute. Got a big turn there, right? Just try to keep the airplane straight and slip for the center line. Okay, that was no time to look away. Got a little steep there, which tends to make the diving tendency more, and that's why we picked up 10 knots.
296 Mike Echo with uniform and down full stop.
206 Mike Echo Apollo Tower, make a left traffic, runway 31.
Can we request right traffic?
This is still a little bit wide. I mean, little tight. Let's widen out a little.
Continue northbound, right down for runway 31.
Let's come left a little. Let's go fly a little wider pattern. We're going to need to get back up to 800 feet.
Just continue following the outer bridge.
And we can ease the nose down now.
Okay, following outer bridge for right downwind runway.
And it's just a little wider, but it really helps. Power's just a little bit low, that's why we're slow. Now, right as you're looking down, we're turning right, right? Our track is 124, 125, and we're turning right, so we're going to end up making our base legs smaller. They're converging a little bit. Okay, past the end of the runway, power back. Just like that much up trim should keep us at 75. Just that much. That's it. Let go, see what happens. And a little bit of left turn. Need a tiny bit more up trim. That's it. Well, yeah, it's pretty close. It's going to oscillate a little. Turned a little early. You think we're low, high, or right?
We are high.
So 20 flaps. Now the speed is on when we're just a little higher on the glide slope. Oh, that was much better.
That's the 4 Sierra Pop extended in the outbound. You're going to be following a Cessna over the outer bridge, entering on the right downwind at 1,200.
4 Sierra Papa, we'll extend the downwind, extend the upwind.
Cessna 6 Mike Echo, you can make your right turn, enter on the right downwind.
Okay, establishing on the right downwind 296 Mike Echo.
That's the 4 Sierra Papa, that traffic's passing off your right.
4 Sierra Papa, we have the traffic in sight.
To let him distract you. We could turn, he's well past us. Watch your bank angle, don't get too steep, because the steeper you go, the more diving tendency you get. Now we'll probably be pretty wide. We could probably angle back in a little bit, but try to be a little wider than you've been on the other patterns. I'm going to turn up all the lights. That's going to help.
Cessna 6 Mike Echo, number 1, runway 31, good to land.
Runway 31 cleared to land 296 Mike Echo.
That's the 4 Sierra Papa, runway 31, clear for the option. Number 2, runway 31, clear for the option.
Number 2, clear for the option, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa.
So he's about a mile and a half ahead of us. We won't have to extend for him at all.
on
Okay,
the base
good.
leg.
All right, good. I got him.
Any wind from our left? Look at the windsock.
Well, the windsock would tell you what it's doing on the ground, and that would be from our left. Up here, we can't tell other than by airplane track. So if you hold the wings level, and let's assume that the mag compass is correct for just a moment, that says 140, and we're tracking 134. Got a little 6 knots of crosswind from the right, not 6 knots, but 6 degrees worth, so about 10 knots. So this looks like a good distance. Look at where the end of the runway is on the strut.
Right.
Power back to 14 or 1350, gently. And a little up trim, maybe about that much, so it stays at 75. That might have been too much. Just see how it goes. Nose is going down a little. That's pretty close. So there's our 45, maybe a few more seconds, and then we could turn.
Cessna 6 Mike Echo Taxi to parking via Zulu Yankee 2
Ooh, that's his wake. Pretty still air conditions. A little bit more bank angle. We don't want to get too far out.
That's Zulu Yankee 2 Juliet, monitor ground 296 Mike Echo.
A little low.
Just a little, so now we're getting good. Now you can go to 20 flaps. You don't have to change the power. Now we're on the glide slope, which is just fine. We don't have to change anything for a bit, and we're on speed. Might be going a little low here, so you could add just a little power, like 50 to 100 RPM. This is right where we like to be. That's the glide slope, and now flaps. End of the runway's below the nose, power off. Little up trim to hold us at 65. Don't even have to look. There it is. And now make sure you got enough flare. Funny how that works, isn't it? Get the speed right, you get the attitude right, you hold it off, you get a nice landing. Fly a little longer on that crosswind, you'll get your little wider on the downwind. This is looking fairly good. And the 10 flaps would help with the pitch down. Power reduction pitches you down, flaps down pitches you up, and they cancel out. We should be pretty close to our trim speed.
Sierra Papa, runway 31, clear for the option.
See how we got closer? We're tracking to the right. Right here, the nose is slicing down, the airspeed is going up. I'll be looking out the window a little bit more to see the pitch changing. Amazing how that works. That's what we're looking for. We need you to be consistently doing that. I have the throttle. I'm going to give you a simulated emergency here. So the power comes down, not all the way, just to here. Right. What are we going to do?
Mixture rich, fuel, and...
You're flying away from the airport. The runway's behind you. We should turn.
Turn?
We should turn. We're flying away from the airport. The engine gets worse. You don't want to fly away from it, right?
Okay. Like turn towards the airport right now?
Well, where are you going to land? In the bay?
Well, okay, no, I'm... Yeah,
right?
sure.
So the engine's developing some power.
Right.
You went mixture rich. You didn't turn the fuel pump on.
Right.
Okay? And we're holding altitude. We're not flying very fast.
Right.
We're slowed down quite a bit, but we're holding altitude. Now, if the engine died at this point, what could we do?
I'll call your base.
Or Sierra Papa, you'll call my base.
If the engine died right now, what could we do?
Well, we can float to the runway.
Yeah, we could make an S-turn and land on 1-3.
Yeah.
Anything else we might want to do?
Well, depending on... Well, we have to tell the tower.
Yeah, we could have declared an emergency and got the other guy out of our way.
Right.
Now, at this point, we're holding 80 knots. For Sierra Papa, left 360.
Should I get some altitude? We are on the way.
Just hold this right here. Let's assume that the throttle isn't working. Now you're at 80. What's best glide speed?
88.
Try pitching up a little for a slower speed. Don't touch the throttle. So best glide's going to be pretty close to the most efficient speed. Maybe a little bit faster, like, 75, no faster than that. And we could stay in the air. So we're doing it. We're doing it for quite some time. So if the engine just lost some power and continued to run, we could make a 180 and maybe land on the runway or a downwind, or engines hanging together, we could land on 3-1.
Number 2, clear for the option. Number 1 and 4 Sierra Papa.
Now, if I had an engine with loss of power at this point, I wouldn't want to expect it to continue to run. Notice you're up to 80 knots again, right? So I just go a short base and then pull the power and land. So if, if the engine failed, it wouldn't surprise me. So we could turn base now, and you go. We're in position. You can go 10 flaps.
Taxi to the ramp via Zulu.
10 flaps.
10 flaps?
10 flaps.
Thanks very much for the help, and can you say again the taxi instructions?
And we're high, power off, all the way off. All the way off. And now if the engine fails, we don't care. We've got the runway made. We're even high. We could go 20 and maybe even 30 flaps, and we'll land down the runway a bit. Kind of an interesting scenario, huh?
Yeah, I wasn't prepared.
Why we do it. And, we're a little hot, we're a little high, but we'll be down by the end. We can see our aim point is just about the second taxiway. And if we're not down by then, just go around. So go around.
Around?
That way we don't have to waste 2 minutes taxiing back.
Saratoga 9013 Tango Charlie, Paul the Tower, make straight in number 1, runway 31, could land, native information, Victor's current, twins, calm, altimeter 3020.
3020, 31, straight in, cleared to land, Saratoga 9013 Tango Charlie.
The partial failures are the hardest to deal with because you don't know what you're going to get.
Just assume that it's as good as
Or it's going to get worse.
Okay.
So let's turn crosswind, and we'll do another variant. I have the throttle. And let's say it got this bad. Power's down to here. Well, you think we could make the runway from here?
Yeah, I think.
Turn all the way toward the runway. At least turn toward the downwind. We don't want to scare the tower. But 68, right? Best glide speed, 68. 80's going to hurt you. 68. And we could make an S-turn and make the runway.
Yeah, we can.
Right? And the engine just still hanging in. Let's see if we can make it with this low power setting at 68 all the way around the pattern.
That's the 4 Sierra Papa, number 2 falls to Saratoga on a 1.5 mile final, runway 31, clip the option.
Number 2 clear for the option, and we have the traffic in sight. 494 Sierra Papa.
Now, we're not quite maintaining altitude, but we're pretty close. Let's try slowing down just a little bit, 65. What we're looking for now is minimum sink speed. The airspeed that keeps us in the air. We're not going forward very much, but we're not losing much altitude. In fact, we're almost holding. So the glide wouldn't be good, but we have the power required to stay level is lower. And if we can just keep this going, I don't want to turn too far right because you won't be able to make your base leg. We'll turn a little bit left here for a few seconds. And now we can turn right. And we're in a reasonably good pattern position. We could nose down, pick up speed, and go 10 flaps. Let's do that. Nose down, pick up a little speed, 10 flaps. And we're close and high, so let's throttle back and turn this into a normal landing. Power can be all the way off. Make sure the throttle's all the way out. We're a little slow, so nose down just a little bit. He's getting off the runway. It's fine. A nice little slip there.
Saratoga 3 Tango Charlie, you can taxi via Zulu, Yankee 2, Juliet, and monitor ground.
Zulu, Yankee 2, Juliet, monitor ground, 3 Tango Charlie.
Let's go.
It was a little flat, huh?
Yep. That's what we want to see, a little self-evaluation. We'll do a few more normals.
Okay.
If the engine was to lose power and be really rough, we could assume that it could die at any moment. But, if we're on the downwind, then we could make it, but we'd be better if we went out a little further. we just wait a little bit longer. And when we're in position to make a normal landing, we pull the power off.
Yeah. And let's say if we don't have time to like tell the, well, we can tell tower for sure.
Yeah, it just takes a moment.
Yeah.
To push the button. Hey, we got, of course, Sierra Papa, we got an engine failure. We're turning for the runway. Get everybody, you don't even have to declare an emergency. You say engine failure, we're turning for the runway. They'll get everybody out of the way. But you do those quick checks. The first one you did just fine. Like mixture, fuel, mist. We can turn the fuel pump off now.
Pay for the option. System 4940 Papa, runway 31.
You can turn the fuel pump off now. And we're a little close. Well, we still have a little light, and since we're close, and we're a little high, power to idle, make the runway, try to land at least at the PAPI light, not shorter, which we're just passing now. Don't want to turn too soon, but you don't want to go too far out. We're high. Can you go a right wing low slip, left rudder? More left rudder. No, that's good. Now just keep this slip all the way down because we are high. And then just take this down as long as you can. But that's a very nice looking forward slip. Hold it a few more seconds. Now take it out. And we're going to make our landing. Yep, we're going to land. All right, and let's make this a full stop. So brakes. Oh, no power. They go all the way back, and that really helps us slow down.
Cessna 40 Papa, taxi back or terminate?
Taxi back, one Cessna 4940 Papa.
Sorry?
Did she say terminate?
Taxi back or terminate. She's asking us if we want to continue.
Okay, got it. Or terminate.
Our objective here is to see the various kinds of options we have
Right.
with partial failures or full failures. And again, on our engine outs, we're trying to get to a position where we can make our landing spot, not too low, not too high. Quite illuminating.
Not having the shimmy.
Not having what?
Not having the shimmy.
Makes a lot of, it's so much nicer, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's just nicer.
I'll bet you your revenue goes up. Well, there's so many, so let's throttle back a little, we're going a little fast. You don't have to use brake, just let it coast down. There's so many variables in how much the airplane flies. It's hard to tell if the revenue will actually went up. But once people realize, hey, it doesn't shimmy anymore, they'll fly it more.
Cessna 40 Papa, runway 31, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 31, Cessna 40 Papa.
All right, let's try to do a couple turns without my saying anything. And that's fine. You get it during your rotation or a little climb, and that just indicates your high alpha for a high angle of attack for a moment. And then it goes away, and that's fine. That's a good takeoff.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, runway 31, click the option.
Clear for the option, runway 31, Cessna 4 Sierra Papa.
We've got about 9 minutes to official night. If the darkness is making it hard for you, we can stop at any point.
Let's see how this one goes.
Yeah.
I go power idle or just normal pattern?
Whatever you want to do.
Try a normal pattern.
Oh, wow. Would have been softer if you were looking to the left. I take it you didn't see the geese crossing the runway on short final?
No, I did not.
Yeah, they're pretty dark. Be better if they had lights.
What happened there?
Did you see the geese as we crossed the berm?
Cross the berm.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
The red lights just short of the end of the runway?
Uh-huh.
You didn't see the geese go right over us? When I said, oh, wow,
Yeah.
did you see them or not?
No.
Yeah, I did. They were pretty close. They were probably pretty scared, too. That's why I said to the tower, I take it you didn't see the geese.
interruption, runway 31, Cessna 4 Sierra Papa. You say wow, I felt like I pulled the power too soon.
I haven't said anything since we turned.
No, when we were on the final, last final.
I said wow because of the geese on short final.
Yeah.
Wind 080 at 3. Use caution for geese crossing left to right approach and just crossing the runway now.
4 Sierra Papa, roger.
Looks like they're over the pond now, low level.
You fly the airplane, I'll watch for the birds.
I'll probably terminate. Well,
This one's a full stop.
yeah, because I couldn't clearly see the end. Or I wasn't sure how much distance.
That's fine.
So
Either one more or stop, your choice.
how are you doing on the?
We're at an hour 19. By the time we hit the spot, it'll be 1:22. One more will be an hour and a half. Okay. Easy on the power, going pretty fast. We're already doing 19, 20 knots.
Close?
Sorry, what?
Does the tower close? 6
No, it's Livermore closes at 6. I think they close here at 7 currently. Under normal staffing, non-COVID, they close at 9. Sorry, what?
4 Sierra Papa, wind 090 at 3, runway 31, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 31, Cessna 4 Sierra Papa. So I don't know when are they going to resume normal operation.
When the pandemic is over.
Yeah. And I don't know when that's going to happen.
Nobody does. That's good. I don't think you have a landing light on, do you?
taxi, no landing. Should
No,
I?
so the landing light would be good. Make it a little easier.
Delta 4 Sierra Papa East, caution, there's large flocks of geese crossing from left to right from short final to the departure into the runway, wind 080 at 3, runway 31, clear for the option.
Clear for the option. Runway 31. Cessna 494 Sierra Papa.
You have the taxi light on also? You got both of them? Okay, that's good. That'll help them see us.
Hi here.
Nosing up a little more. Look, you can see the runway lights as the equivalent of the ground. That worked nicely. Light braking might make the second turn off. Oh, I think we just went past it. That's all right. Good way to end though, huh?
Yeah.
Now we can terminate. We'll be about an hour and a half.
4 Sierra Papa, we're terminating.
4 Sierra Papa, Dice Road Zulu, right turn Yankee 2, suggest Juliet, monitor ground, have a good night.
Taxi Juliet, Yankee 2, Zulu, Yankee 2, Juliet, 4 Sierra Papa. And monitor ground, 4 Sierra Papa. I turn off taxi light now?
This is when you'd want to have the taxi light on. You might turn off the strobes. We don't blind anybody who's near us.
What landing?
They're not, there's nobody in, we're not blinding anybody. And it makes it easy. Wow, did you see that?
Yeah.
What was that? Was that a bird? You think so?
Yeah.
It was pretty fast,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
it was a bird.
So if we're not blinding anybody, the more lights we have on, the easier it is to see, except for strobes, which blind everybody, including us. Sort of a preview of our night lesson, which will occur after a couple of solos.
What was the bird name again you saw on the...
It was a goose when we were on short final.
Right.
There were several, it was a whole flight of geese, and I saw two of them go right over us. And they were pretty big. Hitting a goose is a bad thing. I don't know that if we hit a goose at 60 knots, it would go right through the windscreen, but there's a pretty good chance it would. And being hit with a 10, 15-pound bird at 60 knots could not only knock you out, it could injure or kill you. If you're knocked out, you know, if it's both of us knocked out, we're as good as dead. Not going to land real successfully from that.
Let's say if it happened, just go around? Get in the air, figure out?
Oh, no. If you hit it on short final,
Right.
it would really behoove you to land if you could, because the airplane may not climb after that. If say you were alone or whatever, and the goose hit right here and punched a hole in the windshield, the drag of the airplane would go up tremendously. Because air's coming in, but it has no place to go out.
Huh.
So one thing that can help in that case is to open a window. So now the air can flow through, and it's kind of like you're an open cockpit airplane. The Cessna Cardinal is really famous for that, and that it's a pretty low drag, low angle windshield. But if a bird punches a hole in it, the drag just goes up. It almost doubles the airplane's drag. And if you don't open a door or a window, the airplane will not climb. It's that much drag. So if you're close to the ground with all that kind of damage, if you can get the airplane onto the ground, you're fine. You're not a problem. If you continue in flight, you got a bigger problem to deal with for longer. It would be nice if you can put it down.